erasing the memories of the war was even harder. I would wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares because I remembered when the Germans came into our ghetto in Kozin. It's a small town not far from Warsaw. And I remember how they took all the old people and all the children and killed them instantly. I hid in the cellar. So I survived. And my mom and I managed to get into a slave labor camp. It was the only way to survive, because if you were able to work, you got, I guess, a reprieve from being killed. If you got too weak on the job, you got shot too. They would have a selection once a week. You had to stand at attention, and they would decide which people were too weak to work. All that time, I was hidden in a barrack. So it wasn't just my mother that was hiding me. It was the 29 other women. They were, thank God, all from our town. So nobody was going to snitch. But the responsibility they took on was that if I would be found, then all of them would be punished. So I was very careful. I was very aware of the fact that I could cause harm to all of them. But I was also very hungry, and I was also a little girl who was 5 years old. So I had realized that the soldiers that guarded us, that guarded the camp, ate sandwiches and threw the rinds over their shoulders. So, you know, the rind of the black bread or the rye bread. So I decided that if the rats could get that, then I could get it too. And I learned how to run faster than the rats to get those rinds of bread. At one point, after a few weeks of doing that, I was spotted by a soldier. Thought that was very funny, this little thing. You know, I was maybe 6 by then, but I looked like 3 because of malnutrition. Had outwitted them. So he took me to the commandant, the big honcho of the camp, who just burst out laughing. He thought this was such a hysterical thing that the whole army with the hundreds of soldiers there couldn't find this tiny girl. I was too little to find, basically. And the head of the camp decided that it would be amusing. When he ate his dinner, I would sit on the floor on the left side, and his big dog would sit on the floor on the right side. The dog's name was Mensch, which means person, and Jews were referred to as Hund, which means dogs. So it was like a crazy reversal. But anyway, they didn't shoot me. They gave me the orders to be there. I'm sitting on the floor, and as he's eating, he throws a morsel to the dog, and then he throws a morsel to me. And then I realized that he wanted me to catch it like the dog, not with my hands. I figured out how to do that too. When you have to, you learn very quickly. So they were like tolerating me, all right? One day when everybody's away at work, an inspection team arrived. They were SS officers, and they were checking the camp. Because you didn't run a tight enough ship. Those were the rumors, so they were checking the camp. Turns out they found several children, not just me. They put us on a jeep, took us out of the camp, took us up the hill, and there were some guys digging. Guess what they were digging? They were digging a large grave for us. You know, the Polish guys were digging. The Germans were yelling, "You lazy Slavs, this should have been finished hours ago." And I'm on the truck, pickup truck, with other kids that I don't know. None of us knew each other. And I don't know what possessed me. Maybe because I was at the very back, I just jumped off and ran. I ran for dear life. But I didn't know where I was running. So I'm running back towards the camp, because that's the only place I know. And as I'm running, I see a figure in a blue cape with a red cross on her back. And she just opened her cape. So I ran towards her, and she said to me in Polish, she was obviously a Polish nurse, "Hands on my waist and legs up." And she turned around and started walking back to the camp. I don't know where she was going before. Back to the camp. And back to the infirmary. It turned out she was a Red Cross nurse. All those kids were in the mass grave. I found that out later. How my mother found me in the infirmary, neither my mother nor I have ever been able to figure out. But Sarah said she insisted that they look in the infirmary. And my mother said, "Why on earth would she go to the infirmary?" And Sarah said, "Well, it's the only place we didn't look." So they found me sitting there, and the Red Cross nurse was very relieved because she didn't know what to do with me either. It was the instinct to save me, but nothing had been planned. So she was glad that she could just hand me over to my mom. But first she looked at my mom and she said, "I know you." And my mom isn't even looking at her, and she says, "I don't know you." She says, "Yes, you do. I owe you money." My mother was startled. She said, "Before the war, I bought a radio from your store, and I only made 2 payments." And I remember my mom saying this silly thing. She said, "For